From dropkicking baby Ewoks to crashing an entire wedding, these are evil achievements in video games. They say never bring a knife to a gunfight, but what happens if you bring an innocent old lady to a brawl in Mortal Kombat? You gotta be a serious sicko to want this achievement, yet 63% of players got this one. And the Outer Worlds is a massive RPG where you can become whoever you want, but that doesn't mean you should become the groin hunter. I gotta admit, there's something hilarious about blasting someone in that area, but if you find this disturbingly fun and do it to over 30 people, you'll be rewarded with poor sportsmanship. Now, shooting someone in the groin is one thing, but kicking them right there is just cruel. In Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, you can visit Endor, you know, home of the Ewoks. Some Star Wars fans absolutely love these guys, but others can't stand them. Once you've taken your anger out on 10 of these little creatures, you're labeled as a Sith kicker, and I hope you feel better now, you jerk. Taking it over to Hitman, it's literally your one job to kill the target. That's the entire point of the game, so in Sniper Assassin's wedding level, you have to wipe out a few enemies in a short time limit. This is pretty stressful, so I wouldn't blame you for just crashing their wedding instead. After shooting the bouquet, the lights, band instruments, cake, wine glasses, and the dove cage, the wedding is now officially ruined. I don't know how evil you needed to be to do this, but it rewards you with the Party Pooper achievement. Congrats, now everyone can see just how terrible of a person you are. Although it's still nothing compared to Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. You can only play this game with a friend, and when you guys discover this little girl playing with a ball, you can straight up steal it from her. The game's obviously letting you do this so you can play basketball with each other, but for anyone who's straight up evil, you can decide to throw it down the well. Nice job, buddy. You just made the poor little girl cry. If you decide you want to be something like a butcher instead, The Witcher 3 will totally let you. There are so many enemies in the game, but I have no idea why you'd be mindlessly slaughtering cows. Kinda messed up, but take out one too many and you'll be labeled the Mooderer. Now, Journey to the Savage Planet is full of these adorable little creatures called puffer birds. These guys are totally harmless, and all they do is sit there and look cute. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and that's especially true if you have a toxic player in control. Oh, that thing on the wall over there? Well, that's literally a meat grinder, and I'm sure you can already see where this is going. If you're some kind of monster who does this to 5 innocent puffer birds, you'll get the achievement, but at this point, you probably need therapy instead. No, I'm not gonna lie. Sea of Thieves has plenty of things to do, but I don't know how anyone realized they could get drunk and then puke into the bucket. Sounds like a simple mechanic, except this bucket can now be thrown at players and even blind them. And I gotta say, Tactical Chunder is honestly the perfect name for this. Over in Assassin's Creed, you're meant to be the protector of the people, so when a beggar comes up to you asking for coins or food, you should probably help him out. Or do that, I guess. Sure, it might be a little annoying the first time, but for anyone who does this to 25 beggars, you're instantly labeled an enemy of the poor. And that's not the only way you can disrespect someone. In Mafia 3, if you need to get rid of a body quickly, there's a perfect way to do it. Simply pick the dude up and walk outside to the conveniently placed alligator pit.
Goddamn, that gets me every time.
Although it's not every day you can wipe out an entire species, and of course Red Dead Redemption lets you do this. Now, there's not an infinite supply of buffalo in the game, they genuinely just don't respawn. So you can hunt them down for hours until there's literally not a single one left. Congratulations, you just single-handedly made buffaloes extinct, but hey, at least you got the trophy for it. Now, everyone's had that one boss they just don't get along with, but in Shadow of War you can become a minion's leader and they'll help you in battles. Except, if you're the jerk boss who decides to take out your anger on them and slash them over and over, you'll rightfully be called this.
Oh, come on, man.
And actually, while we're on the topic, The Force Unleashed has an opening mission where you can play as Darth Vader. You're invading Kashyyyk while brutally taking out anyone in your path, but there's a temptation to destroy every stormtrooper who also gets in the way. It is way too much fun to launch these guys off a cliff, and if you kill enough of your own men, you become the worst day shift manager ever. If you do need an outlet for all that anger though, I heavily suggest playing the LUCIUS franchise. You get to play as the son of Satan, and your goal is to kill everyone inside the house. I'm not ashamed to admit that this is kind of fun, but when you go outside and find an innocent engineer, he just doesn't deserve a fate like this. Another achievement that enables the worst behavior is an Untitled Goose game. Now, everyone plays this game to be the most toxic goose possible, but one of the cruelest things you can do is steal someone's stuff and give it to the shopkeeper. Once they realize it's missing, they'll be forced to buy back their own items, and you are the devious mastermind behind it all. And while we're on the topic of animals, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is probably the first place you'd expect to find some horses. It's set in Victorian England, so everyone's riding around on carriages, but if you're some kind of psychopath, you can flip these carriages with a single gunshot. Doing this to 5 horses will eventually confuse the developers, and they'll just ask, what's wrong with you? Over in Arkham Asylum near the end of the game, you're about to walk into Joker's party, and a ton of his goons are lined up to welcome you. Now, you can't just completely ignore them and save yourself the trouble, but you're Batman after all. Take every single one of these guys on, and you're officially the party pooper. For anyone who admires the Joker and wants to be just like him, Fallout 3 has a feature that lets you become just as psychotic. Once you've learned the fact that you can pickpocket people, it quickly becomes obvious that you can also put things into their inventory. You know, like a live hand grenade. Now, the very last place I'd expect to find an evil achievement is in 2 Point Hospital. You get to build your own medical center to help as many people as possible, but just like in real life, this is technically a business. If you're ever strapped for cash, things can get desperate, and you can purposely cause one of your overworked machines to explode while an employee's next to it. Thankfully, they're already in a hospital, and now you can treat their wounds for extra money. Good job on generating business, I guess. Being toxic to NPCs is one thing, but when it's your best friend, there's something extra evil about it. In BattleBlock Theater, while playing with a teammate, friendly fire is technically enabled. Sure, you may take out your friend a few times by accident, but betray them 50 times and that's just cyberbullying. So of course, the game rightfully labels you as a traitor. But I'd rather bully my own friend than a horse, because Darkest of Days lets you get an achievement for punching these adorable little guys right in the noggin. The absolute worst part is that it gives out 100 gamer score. I mean, talk about encouragement. By the way, earlier when I said that making someone buy their own possessions back was the most toxic thing you could do, well, I lied. It doesn't even come close to how cruel you can actually be in Untitled Goose Game. There's this little innocent boy who's just running around and playing in the street. Nothing too crazy, except the fact that you can steal his plane, lure him into a puddle, untie his shoelaces, and then he'll fall flat on his face right into the water. Not only are you ghastly for this, but you can make it even worse by stealing his glasses. And GTA 5 has an achievement that no one talks about because you wouldn't ever really think to do it. One of the random encounters throughout the game is this drunk couple who needs a ride home. Very responsible for them to not drink and drive, but sadly, they can end up in the car of an evil player. The waypoint automatically sends you to their house, but if you decide to go here instead, this is the location of the cult up in the mountains. What's truly dark is the game genuinely lets you drive up here and hand them right over to the cult for money.
I heard you're interested in taking care of some lost travelers for a price.
So it is. So it is.
But if you want a clear example of what it's like to be evil, this achievement's got you covered. You know the saying, like taking candy from a baby? Well, you can do exactly that in The Sims 3. In fact, the developers thought this was so messed up, you can only steal a baby's candy if your sim has the evil trait. Do this to 5 innocent little kids and the trophy's yours, but I just hope it was worth it, you monster. And those were evil achievements in video games. It's been Sammy. Keep it here on T5G.